Our U.S. markets proved to be volatile in the first quarter of 2016. How should investors approach the market going forward? Michael Driscoll of Adelphi University joins Jill Maladrino, VOA Channels TV business correspondent in New York, to discuss this.
In financial media, we hear a lot about the pain trade, essentially where everyone is thinking the same way, and of course the market goes in an opposite way. Michael, going into earnings this week, everybody is very negative. Only 3 of 10 S&P 500 sectors are expected to perform well. How do you trade around that when the herd mentality is thinking the same way?
One, it's not easy. I have a little bit of a luxury in that I'm a couple of years removed from actually sitting on a trading desk and trying to be involved in every single wiggle and jiggle in the stock market. That being said, being a little bit removed from it, I think that trying to keep that longer term perspective and think about why you're investing, all right? I think for most people, they're investing for their retirement, for a longer term perspective. Nothing against professional traders that are trying to capture every wiggle and jiggle in the stock market, but it's an extraordinarily difficult thing to do. And for most of those of us that are playing at home, it's borderline impossible. So I think if you have the ability and you can keep a longer term perspective on things, think about what the first 3 months of the year brought, right? All the hysteria, the deep decline earlier in the year. Come March 31st, at the end of the quarter, we were just about where we started. So if you had that ability to not follow the markets every minute of every day and just kind of open your statement at the end of every month or at the end of every quarter, you realize that for all the wailing and gnashing of teeth, we really didn't do that much.
Well, if you finally capitulated on the February 11th low, you would have missed a 14% move. And I'm sure there's a lot of investors right now that are afraid to get back in because they missed that move. It's a matter of juggling the entry and exit points, which could be so dangerous for the retail investor trying to pick tops and bottoms.
That's a great point, but what you said it yourself. To try and be in or out is almost impossible. All right, I think that the most successful investors that I've seen, and something that I try and do with my own investing for my own retirement account, is just try and avoid that very uncomfortable feeling when markets do have a deep decline, and just again focus on that long-term perspective. One of the classes that I teach to students now is that when you start investing in your company 401k plan at 22 years old, keep in mind you have 40 years to go on this. So to try and predict where the market's going to go day to day or even quarter to quarter is really, really difficult to do. And if you do happen to do exactly what you mentioned, sell at the bottom, you're dead. You never have the opportunity to make that money back. You've now realized the loss.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate that insight. In New York for Channels TV, I'm Jill Malandrino.
And the 26th World Economic Forum on Africa begins on the 11th of May through the 13th in Kigali, Rwanda, under the theme, Connecting Africa's Resources Through Digital Transformation. And now being joined by the head of Africa and member Executive Committee World Economic Forum, Elsie Kanza. Good afternoon, Elsie. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Right. Connecting Africa's resources through digital transformation. What informed the choice of this theme for this year's forum?
Well, the key context that helped to inform the theme of this meeting is truly the reality of the fourth industrial revolution that we essentially raised awareness about in Davos in January this year. And the key concern for us was, one, just to help leaders around the world come to grips with the realities of the technological changes that are affecting economies, societies, and even governments. In this respect, in the African context, given the opportunities and challenges that we're currently addressing across the continent, we're really seeking to, one, raise awareness about how this new reality is playing out across the continent, what are the new technologies, what are new applications for existing technologies, where disruptions are occurring, and then moving forward to what this means in terms of revisiting or reprioritizing investment decisions or policy reforms.
Now, price volatility for globally traded commodities, job creations, especially for the youths, and of course vulnerability to climate change continue to pose challenges for the African continent. How will this forum address these problems?
Well, if we start off with climate change, for example, we're seeing new uses of technologies such as drone technology. A big issue when it comes to the adverse impact of the climate is being able to get enough data on time so that corrective measures can be taken. And this is also part of a phenomenon known as big data. From an entrepreneurship point of view, we're also seeing new job opportunities that are emerging where access to the internet is available, for example, or even with respect to commercializing new technologies, for instance, in the biotech space or even in agricultural technology. So, for example, one of the technologies that's of particular interest is learning from Nigeria, where mobile wallets have been used to essentially equip farmers with necessary or facilitate their access to necessary inputs. And this is one example that we'll be looking to scale up across Africa, and other examples from other parts of the continent.
It's been 26 years since this Forum on Africa started. How do you measure its benefits to the continent?
That's a very good question. Over the past 26 years, we've seen various shifts in the economies across Africa, as well as in terms of social development. And the Forum has very much been a partner in that journey as it seeks to convene stakeholders from government, business, and society in order to accelerate progress. I'll focus on just one flagship initiative that we launched in 2011, which is called Grow Africa, which sought to leverage this multi-stakeholder engagement in order to accelerate investment in agriculture with a focus on smallholder farmers. And to date, over $10 billion of commitments have been leveraged through this unique and innovative partnership arrangement, and millions of farmers have benefited both directly and indirectly. So we have other similar initiatives, perhaps not at that same scale, but addressing issues in the mining industry, water industry, health, competitiveness, skills. And in all these areas, what we're seeing is faster progress with respect to having the public and private sector work together. And this is actually translating into wins that are tangible. And our interest really is to see how we can harness this energy to make even more progress, because the challenges across Africa are immense.
Now, Elsie, just before I let you go, what are your expectations from this year's summit?
My expectations are varied. I'm particularly excited about what the fourth industrial revolution presents for Africa as an opportunity to leapfrog. I'm also very excited about the prospects with relation to diversification of our economy, discussions around how we industrialize, and this has been very much driven by the slowdown in the global economics, in the global economy, excuse me. And you're seeing a real commitment by our leaders to undertake reforms that can lead to more value addition, that can facilitate trade within the continent, and ultimately translate into more jobs for our youth. And linked to that is also a deepening of interest in how we can ensure that more women are connected to technology. Those are a few of the things I'm particularly excited about.
Well, thank you very much, Elsie. We look forward to that forum in May. Thank you for your time.